What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you want to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
Once we started seeing single party members ranked B or above, I figure they'd be used to labyrinth work without too many hints. Money bought you safety in this maze, so even if we didn't walk them through every step, I'm sure they'd be able to figure things out through their own experiences.
Right. Guess there's no need to panic, then.
The labyrinth was generating a lot of interest. There were magic crystals, as well as other materials, to harvest from fallen monsters. A lot of people would enter the labyrinth as a way to earn a little spending money, no doubt. And the nobility was even more eager to dive in, it seemed, including some very sensible ones who'd enlisted adventurers back home to go conquer the dungeon for them. Those kinds of adventurers wouldn't let greed steer them off course. They'd fully prepare, set up goals, and execute a plan of action. They'd be the minority, for sure, but we figured their numbers would grow in time.
So what should we do now?
Veldora asked.
We have a front desk set up in the first floor. Maybe we could offer some guided experiences?
I said.
Experiences? What do you mean by that?
Ramirez wasn't the only confused-looking one.
I
explained.
We could set up a training area that lets you test things out a little. Teach people about traps, have them train in battle with monsters, those kinds of things. That's a lot more meaningful than just giving out tips, isn't it?
I'd also like to set up a gym of sorts, to help us train all the new Tempest recruits we've seen lately. It was impossible to get accidentally killed in the labyrinth, so I think it'd be pretty useful to have. Then a rather unexpected person offered their agreement.
In that case, maybe you could offer some courses in conquering the labyrinth, too.
It was Masayuki nonchalantly chiming in. I looked at him, surprised.
Oh, should I not have butted in?
No, you're fine.
Ah, well, good. This is a topic I could contribute to a little bit more, so I thought I'd speak up.
He grinned. He was adapting faster than I thought, but then again, he always was bold like that.
What kind of classes, though?
Would we have a big band of adventurers sit down in our meeting hall? Setting up times to give a rundown on the labyrinth seemed worthwhile.
You know, kind of like video game tutorials.
Tutorials? What are those?
It sounds like a dessert. Is it good?
Veldora and Ramirez pounced on the unfamiliar word. I assumed Veldora had the vocabulary to know it, but maybe not. Languages in this world translated pretty well in my mind, but that auto-translate function only worked if both members of a conversation had a common understanding of the topic. If Veldora didn't know what it was, Ramirez certainly had no chance. So Masayuki and I had to explain the concept of a game tutorial.
I was picturing something like an obstacle course.
Yes, like Rimuru said, I think it's important you experience some of the basic moves you're expected to know before you enter the labyrinth. If we offer quick rundowns on the basics and divide it into missions, I think that'll help adventurers retain knowledge better.
Adventurers wouldn't gain much from lengthy lectures. A training ground available to all wouldn't see a lot of use apart from the hard cores. So went Masayuki's logic, and why he thought a mission-based structure was a good idea. Before being admitted inside, challengers would get to complete a simple set of missions, ensuring they had the barest knowledge required to challenge the labyrinth. Veldora and Ramirez listened on, looking more and more convinced.
Yes, that may just work. For my part, allowing this cavalcade of fools to tumble in and die simply bores me. Let us grant them a training area, so their skills can be at least somewhat up to snuff.
Yeah, I think so, too. 'Cause if Milam saw this, she'd be so angry that she'd send all these challengers up into the clouds.
They seemed all for it. And so did Mjolmile.
And perhaps after this tutorial, we could offer them a line of Tempest brand weapons and armor to try their hand at. And if some challengers are facing more difficulty deeper down, a set of tougher missions could perhaps be of some benefit.
This was some really helpful feedback. In fact, maybe we could even release a guidebook. It'd help advertise the town. It could be fun to have some qualified writer tackle that task for me. Regardless, this lack of labyrinth experience was killing our challengers' efficiency. Let's give them at least a few instruments to work with. Otherwise, we'd never find anyone capable of handling floor 50 and below, when the difficulty really started to ramp up. Plus, for people who really want to get serious, we could even offer a few experiences that get down to the nitty-gritty of dungeon survival. Of course, the real dungeon began at floor 50, and at first, we planned for Hinata's Crusaders to be our main customers for those levels. For now, at least, we couldn't expect much of anything from our adventurers, so Ramirez and Veldora would need to be content having the paladins to toy with. Thus, we decided to renovate floor 1 into a general training area. I also made sure to provide a separate entrance and exit for our new soldiers, in addition to the one for dungeon challengers.
Yes, that does sound like a good idea. Right. I'll make it this instant.
Ramirez was ready to start work, and since we were all in agreement, I was about to wrap up the meeting. But,
Oh, wait a second please. There's something else I've noticed.
Masayuki spoke up again, his eyes sparkling.
So right now, the only inns and taverns are in the safe zones, right? Don't you think we ought to offer them on each floor instead? And it's kind of a pain if there's no toilets or anything. If you can connect different spaces together anyway, I think it'd be nice to set up a door near the stairways to each floor or something that leads to these facilities. Some adventurers aren't even bringing a sleeping bag with them, so even if you charged a premium, I think you'd get a lot of customers, you know?
What? Is this kid a genius? And toilets, huh? I no longer had any need for them, so it completely slipped my mind. All this useful feedback was flooring me. I turned to Ramirez, she confidently nodded back.
Yes, Masayuki, I'll take that advice, too.
Ah, Sir Masayuki, your observational skills astound me. Such insight.
I'll get rid of the safe zones and set up a door leading to a rest stop near each stairway.
It was kind of like setting up a vending machine selling toilet paper packets at high prices next to a train station bathroom that had no paper on hand. Unfair? Yes, but extremely effective. Masayuki's insight really was sensational.
Well,
I said with a smile.
If you have any other thoughts in mind, don't be shy about sharing them.
Masayuki pondered for a few moments, no doubt recalling all the video games he'd played.
Could we maybe have a portable save point you can only use once? I was lucky enough to make it to floor 10, but now that you've removed the trapdoors, I think it's taking a lot more time to reach that point. This isn't a game to the challengers, so I think the time commitment involved is making things a lot harder as well.
Yes, that's fair, too. I had to agree with him. The way things were, a journey to floor 10 would take several days. With his previous idea, we had stumbled upon the notion of making money off extended stays in the labyrinth. Maybe we should think more along these lines?
Yes, that child is onto something. I was thinking the very same thing. Humans are such fragile little creatures, so we need to offer a bit of a helping hand.
Veldora was the first to offer agreement. And who was the very person who designed this hellscape of a dungeon for fragile little humans anyway?
Well, I can certainly set up disposable save points. But wouldn't it be more profitable to have adventurers stay at inns?
So implementation wasn't a problem. Man, whenever the topic turned toward money, Ramirez was sharp as a tack. I was surprised she had something useful to say.
No, Lady Ramirez, not necessarily. We should actually price them on the high side. If they don't have any pressing business, they can always stay at an inn, but I think a lot of people would need to regularly report back to their patrons or whatever. And I think some people would want to carry them around as extra insurance, in case something unexpected happens in the labyrinth. It could help sell our return whistles as well.
Mjolmile was keen on this, too. I think he sensed a business opportunity. And he was right, you could use them in many different ways. If you were spending several days in the labyrinth at once, you may want to know what's going on outside. Plus, the idea was to attract mercenaries hired by the nobility going forward, and they may need to file regular reports with their bosses. And also,
in my case, my companions beat him pretty easily for me, but the save point on the 10th floor is protected by a powerful monster, right? I think a lot of people would want to use a save point before they challenge that guy.
I nodded deeply at Masayuki. To a gamer, saving before you tackle a boss, or a floor guardian, in this case, was common sense. I recalled moments when I skipped that vital step before the final boss, only to lose several hours worth of play. Sad accidents like that can be laughed away because it's only a game, but how frustrating would it be if that happened in real life?
Right.
I said.
Thinking about it, maybe we're being a little too unkind.
Veldora and Ramirez nodded their agreement at me.
Boy, right, your name was Masayuki? The advice you provide is quite helpful, yes.
Yeah, I'm really amazed. You sure are an otherworlder, aren't you? Just like Rimuru. It's gonna be great working with you, Masayuki.
Somewhere along the line, Masayuki had been accepted as a peer.
Now, there's no need to spoil anyone past floor 50, I don't think. But in the floors that won't entertain too many veteran adventurers, I think it'd be a good idea to at least go a little easy.
And now Masayuki was advising them as a full-fledged labyrinth administrator. That adaptability is probably his greatest asset of all, I think, and I had no objections to his take.
Alright, so let's set up a rest stop before the stairway on each floor. When you reach it, you can pay a fee or something to gain access to part of floor 95.
And we'll set up an inn and tavern down there?
Right. I'm not gonna open up the Elven Lounge to the general public. That's still members only, but we could easily set up something similar for adventurers. And don't forget, we'll charge a premium for it.
Oh, I understand, believe me, I do.
As a rule, prices are high in tourist sites. There's a soda and coffee vending machine at the summit of Mount Fuji, but you're gonna be paying the equivalent of $5 for a soda. There's nothing like eating a cheap box lunch at the peak, but while something like that's never gonna be gourmet cuisine, if you purchase it on the mountain itself, you can bet it's gonna go for 4-star restaurant prices. So it's a given that the facilities inside the labyrinth will be pricier than their equivalents outside. Now the little town we had going on floor 95 would be more useful than ever.
But can you really craft disposable save points like that, Ramirez?
Absolutely no problem there, easy peasy. There are these things called recording crystals, and they're fine for disposable use.
The item Ramirez produced was actually quite handy. You could use it anywhere in the labyrinth, and it worked exactly like a regular save point. Add yourself to a recording crystal, and the next time you die, you'll be able to restart from where you saved. If you use a return whistle to exit the dungeon, the next time you go in, you'll pick things up from your recording crystal. That held true even if the structure of the labyrinth itself changes. You wouldn't reappear in the exact same location, but you'd get transported to the nearest safe place, kind of.
We can sell those at high prices, too, indeed.
Well, actually, I'd like to distribute those a little more widely.
How about we mix them in with the rarer items in treasure chests?
The discussion was humming now.
Now I have more to look forward to.
Oh, I wouldn't expect anything to change too quickly, but I do think we'll see fewer challengers give up.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to Luminous Eka, Night Gazer, Wubba Lubba Dub Dub, Viel Kayanes, Rahul Subramanian, Mac Di Gandalera, Intense, Sama Nisan, William Yancey, and last but not least, shout out to Chad Vota. I'll see you guys in the next video.